Benton County Prosecutor's Office. Please stay on the line and an operator will answer your call shortly.
Good morning, Prosecutor's Office.
Yeah, is it clear to send an email so I can have that taken care of? Are you guys going to be receiving UPS or FedEx? You guys are going to be signing anything? Will there be somebody?
Not that I know of.
Will there be somebody here to come in here so they can sign for it so I can drop it off and then? Is that right?
Drop something off from UPS?
FedEx or UPS, since I can do that. Can I have UPS, FedEx send the prior mail overnight and have you guys sign?
I believe so. I mean, there's someone here, so I believe that's okay.
Okay, so I can do that instead of doing that, or what discretion are we going to be doing? Because you guys are open 5 days out of 7 days a week, so somebody will be here to sign for it and they can just drop it off and then you guys can pick it up, right?
Great.
Okay, that's good then. Thank you. Thank you. Yep.
You're welcome. Bye.
This is September. Let's see, September 2019, 2020, but this is increments on the State Appeals Courts containing cases determinant. So September 27th, 2019, this is 2020, at 210 West Broadway, no, 610 First Street in Othello, Washington. The Administration Office 210 West Broadway would be Judge Dixon and Carol J. BENZEL District Court. Appeals Office and finalists Washington Bar Association, which is the state of courts of Washington State Courts. Federal guidelines, Washington State guidelines. There's services, and this is September 27th, 2019. The other processing would be 220, and they'd be effective date Wednesday. This is Wednesday, April 31st was yesterday, and this is April 1st, 11:49, 58 seconds. It's almost 12, almost lunchtime. It's 10 minutes, 15 minutes from lunch. This is September 27th. It's body cams information on police officers, also body cams on Mosley Police Department, body cams on the, of course they have the sheriff vehicle parked at the coroner's office, and there's a camera inside the vehicle. So we're going to take all this information, body cams, because you have all the rights to take body cams from information on body police officers, because they lie to the public and the society themselves, as you can see. You can see the officer that has the taser on his right hand, and also the gun weapon and his gun enhancement license they carries around. It's called banishing weapon. See, if you're an officer, U.S. Marshal, or coming in the residence of immediate family members that the household that they took care of, they have a body cam description. You can write on a report for it to get in the body cam, because the Washington Bar Association and Washington State court systems and district, superior, civil, and also on government lands owned by the first and last of the name, as you can see. The services that they got on the body cam, you can get all that information. This is Washington Appellate Court Reports Services. That's a DHS CPS office. If you have children, siblings in the household, and you have to do an eligibility review form, meaning you're not a criminal, you're not a convict or a Japanese immigrant inside the United States soil, but you know, if you have immediate family member that does watch administration office, they have this appellate court system that says body cams and information, any foreign objects on the property, any weapons that inside the building, that property that you own, and that's owner's discretion to have no weapons in the house or their service, because you have open commuting their services. You got every right to protect yourself. A full automatic handgun or a full automatic, semi-automatic And those settings are to that nature. It says the wash and powder reports. See, discretionary on the containing cases determines in the Court of Appeals the discretionary. As you can see, it says the Mr. Bill Gates, of course, walked out and gave him $300 million. They walked out on the coronavirus enactment, and he walked out on that. So this is bear arms and secondary amendment, George Washington. So you see them taking the backhoe and scooping out the hole, and they're missionaries and police officers, and they're pushing Mr. Felix Barela in the cremator and dragging his body upstairs and downstairs to the prosecutor's office. As you can see, determines the blood and the residue, and the blood residue and somatics sure don't match, do they? So we got September 27, 2019, December 3rd of 2018, and this is 2020, and this is, of course, Mr. Pizza, Westside Pizza, and also the India Buffet, by India Buffet, Pizza, China Chen, Eric Chen, and also the Mother and Father Administration Office, and their services in Chinatown and Bill Gates Administration. It says their responsibility be imposed on divisions. That subsequently, that means that their contracts, fidelity, unconditional substance, these constructions and construction formats of building a case or forming a case in a matter. Individual speaks English, they have the right to protect themselves in any way, shape, or form, especially when they have a nature action and the Superior Court action, the Court of Appeal action during that process, the jury and right of jury, and those inactions and those waivers that are filled and properly filled out in front of Annie Miller's eyeballs. And since the services that they have King County, they got Benton County, Franklin County, they got Adams County, and they also got Richland, Washington. And Richland, Washington is called Benton County, Franklin County. Mr. Bob Thompson, a mayor of Richland, no more longer mayor, the entire City Hall of Richland, Washington is no more there since reimbursement of their fees and reimbursement all their consolidated services payments received in full, money reimbursed, and they're trying to get an account establishment, maybe a change in name, maybe write a check out to you and give you the route number and give you the bank route number, and you don't have to cash that check. You can rip it up in pieces and mail it to and give it to Annie Miller. Make a big gigantic pile and put it on the desk in Annie Miller's office and rip it up in his face and leave it right there. And that should be sufficient evidence enough of criminology in the psychological, physiological way disputes are given how the sunken grains sink in on the property that abides when these officers are walking on my property. And their headstones, Mr. Steve Son. Apartment 205 is actually, we have apartments. That's kind of weird. We had no warrants for his arrest, and they come in and out of services. So we're going to rip all the individual paperwork and put it on the desk and make a pile of it and snapshot and put it on YouTube, Facebook. The Washington Bar Association, that's just your ways. See the Prosser Building, Sandy Strawn Building. We had so many convictions. Mr. Sandy Strawn, Commissioner of Bingham. It will never, ever be like that ever again. Never, ever be like that again. So we didn't have aliens or alienated services or camouflaged individuals coming in, strays, as you would say. And these conducts is NSJB. That's a conduct, NSJB conduct. That conduct falls on our ST file, and it also falls on a CPA file. And that CPA file is downloaded by Microsoft, and that Windows 10, as you would say, the Windows 10, of course. We would do this right in front of Mr. Andy Miller, and his eyeballs himself, his services, it will sink in. It says RST, the SSJB, just in case discretionary of the service, the processing information of the ordinances that falsified come out of the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, the bile of its whatever it is, because its shape and form of it is giving it a way of making waves or betrayal or lying, incest. These ex-con artists, individuals, they have this way of swiping or discriminating, taking false identity or business or Washington Bar Association incumbents are sitting there trying to give a robe and, you know what I'm saying, like an owl, like owl, any kind of owl sitting there portraying itself as being the true impetus of services, of building regulation, code services, how it moves its body and form and shape, it comes all kinds of shapes and forms as you see. It's very self-explanatory. You got these big, gigantic individual building and regulation codes that land use regulators just review, petition and act, and then pretty much they can't even run, they can't even write, they can't even protect themselves in any shape and form because they got this building regulation code says the regulations just review Land Use Petition Act, the Civil Rules Act, RCW 36.70C.045. Now the law of analyzing all this data, this mass data that gives this gigantic fear of finding the truth, but nothing the truth, because body cams are cameras on any individual system, how they use you in so many ways, and this body cam is misused. So this acceptance of nature of action, which is a 36.70C RCW. That land of use petition of the services pretty individuals and their services. So you give them oxygen, you give them food, you get them 3 meals a day, and they just use it in shape and form. As you can see, this fraudulent individual abscess and the crooked system, and they're misusing the medical system as in services that you see. One just take the blood out of his vessels of his heart and put him on Front Street, because it says the answer in the second answer. Your first question answered, they asked, and it says your second question you answer, you refused. So this is the perfect service that they have for this dispute. It's called LUPA. See, this is RCW 36.70C.030. See, their service that they have in this administration office, as you can see, holds this uplinking service, which is collective data. A lot of data that is nothing but fabricated and put it onto this print. Mr. Bob Thompson, as you can see, is nothing but a delusion. It's a service representative civilian paid by increments at a time, retaining $10,000 retainer, Mr. Bob Thompson, and the charge that he's no more the mayor of Richland. As you see, the Richland City Hall is nothing but land now. Now the federal court building still stands, and also the post office in West Richland still stands, and the city hall and police station in West Richland still stands. And those services they got, they don't even belong to them because it's leased to them. They don't own the property, just like City Hall in Richland. They don't own that property, it's leased to them as well. So when they filed bankruptcy, as you see, they down, smashed it into little pieces and hauled off in a PTO truck called Mueller's Funeral Home, in the back of Mueller's Funeral Home, and back into a dump truck. And I pushed my dump truck out by hand, of course, by manual, by hamstrings, of course, tendons, upper body and lower body. And then you push it. And you don't push start it, you don't kick start, because you have the key ignition to start the dump truck, Volvo, and the John Deere, and also the Ford truck, the Ford tractor. You got to pop wheelies on it, the Ford tractor. You got to break it in, and over at the Pentagon, and pop wheelies on it, and pull down all the trees down, and also the flagpoles, all the way down to the ground, and build a foundation that says 1972 on it. See, the presidency of course, Mr. presidential and vice president stakes, free stakes, and also the stake, and also the Senior War stake on 20th, the Red Line, also the Red Line here in Columbia Center Boulevard. This enactment, this service of tour of getting, reading, depleting, and downloading all this information is very crucial to this information use. Let's go to September 27th, 2019. At Mr. Ed Deals and all some properties, and get all the individuals and all the ammunition and services that they got to use. All this ammunition they use in the courtroom systems. So this system they got is 18.85 RCW. There's some more ammunition you use, see? This RT, this ordinance, this Lucia ordinance you can use. See, this is RCW 18.86.01011. See that gigantic device, so-called, you can use it as a steam cooker, you can use it as a heater base cooler, you can use it for a water preserve issuance of hot and cold, or you can use it as a propane canister, or yet you can use it as a pressure cook system that increments, downloads all the white collective gauged by PCI and use it to as a pressure use. You can use it as a pressure, or you could use it as a paint sprayer, or you can use as a atom component, as a ridicule molecule gauge regulator. So that means when you're cooling down liquor waste before it melts down and becomes too hot or acts up in a way radiant and exposing to airborne, as they call the services of decaying. It's called slow decay. Like your teeth, like your face, like your skin, you melt, literally melt into bio substance of ash, and pretty much when your dental shows up, your dental record shows up your first and last name, your FBI SID number. Now the brokers who owes these duties to you as an individual, as you can see, it says in a small bold line around it says work source. And the work source, there's an appeal process, a commission act, and on the bottom of that it says when you sign on this, either you're a donor, organ donor, a liver donor, or a blood donor, or a brain donor, or a dental teeth donor. You donate your teeth because your teeth, like the kennel command, you want to put your body in your mold, and say the kennel command put your teeth and mold you at the Mid-Columbia Library at of course, the 101 East Main Street, Othello, or Mid-Columbia Library at 14 West South Main. J. Mueller Administration, Mueller's funeral home. So you mule that face of J. Mueller and his dental feet and his features and first and last name sitting there with Felix Barela at the table. So you want to do that statue of recommendations of pulling down the Twin Towers down. And Mr. Don John walking in and say it was a sad thing what happened for the contractor and the contract signed by George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and the Mueller administration and their services and indictments of the service. There is no indictments, pretty much. It says to present the written offers, written notices, other written communications from these two parties, timely manner, regardless. But there's no two parties because they're together. They're one, equal as equilibrium, and also the spinal cord to the spine. See, when you're born as a baby, you're a serpent, you're a Satan, you're a ridiculed, you're a varmint, you're a creature in nature, you're a snake, you're a slithering, cold-hearted, beating individual. Because you have a spinal cord, looks like a tail, look like a pollywog, look like a sperm that incubated into the vagina fallopian tube, that go out of the urethra into the other urethra, into the fallopian tube, up into the abyss, flying in its sac, the cells, the DNA, RNA, the and the plasma that goes into this. It's called 1A, 0.85 RCW, 0.86, 0.0111. 1.86 RCW governs the real estate leisure, and that UBI number and the business UBI number, and also Class A uniform and the class, of course, the suit and tie, and that goes into the infamous DNA, RNA through the urethra and the fallopian tubes. This is exception. It means exception means they never was. They're one. They're one together. The death do part, richer or poor, and doesn't by guidelines. It says by that behalf of compensation of your promise of exception, your exception. See, the gavel, the robe, the body armor, the Class A and First Class A and Class A uniform, and also your driver's license, department abstract records. Ever since you were in elementary school, pasting, putting diapers on, or moving in the Cadillac Hospital, or going to Lady Lord's, or going to any Air Force, Air Force One, of course, landing in the suffix in the service of 10,000 feet or better of you having intellectual sex and having intimate sex and releasing your sperm sac over 10,000 feet, Mr. Donald Trump. Of course, Mr. Donald Trump loves the fact to have sex anything above 10,000 feet, because it's supposed to have your peak orgasms at that duration of time, because this says her vagina was so tight, her muscle abdominals were so tight, because she was at the gym 7 days a week, Miss Roberta Barela, having conception with Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump having consensual sex with Roberta Barela, Lola Hernandez, of course, Lola Hernandez, Mr. McCain, and Mr. Ronald Reagan, Mrs. Ronald Reagan, and also Mr. Andy Miller, and also Mr. Charlie Cox, and also all the white minorities in Kennewick, Washington, pulling off Lola off Cy Hernandez, and also Mr. Don't forget, Mr. United States Marine Corps and the Red Apollo in Pasco, Washington, driving all through Pasco, Washington, with it on fire, running down guardrails, running down first and last resident fence lines, and also running all over police officers, running through police vehicles. The U.S. Marine Corps. Oh, I forgot his name. Let's call him Cruz. Let's call him Cruz. He likes cruising down Court Street in Clearwater. They love those indictments, Mr. And Andy Miller can recollect on this report. It says brokerage services. See, that was a brokerage services because they made a fool of the U.S. Marine Corps and the U.S. Marine Corps, and they are the U.S. Marine Corps, and they are the U.S. Marine Corps. And it says the brokerage services, their damages, downtown East Side, also Pasco, Washington, also Mr. Bulldozer, forget Mr. Bulldozer, and that bulldozer company in the cabin, and that service there is, he wanted his Dodge filter system fixed by me, Felix Barela. And Mr. McBee, Big Simone's Hawaii North Shore, wanted his Toyota engine replaced with heads, head gaskets, head cylinders, system exhaust manifolds, and also exhaust intake HHH, which means electrical system that's connected to the Toyota. When hyped up on, of course, H2O, water H2O, that oxygen system that's connected to his aortas. And this is probably the best intake system he got for of course, the Toyota systems, the Toyota family system, like the Ford family system, and also the incest communication service of passing information through any narrative. But the Hawaiians and Samoans and all these services, especially, are supposed to get along. But the real truth, they don't. They really don't get along. They're sitting there pulling Lola Hernandez off all these individuals with a cane. And Mr., of course, Donald Trump, and Buffalo, New York, taking Mr. Jason Traeger back, Mr. Basin Traeger, and he's on, of course, Garfield and Garfield Street and downtown Washtub Willie's, and not U.S. Marshal, but Marshall. Old man, old man, decrepit man. They always jumping them and attacking them and doing laundry left and right. And then you have these gangbangers, 18th Street, just incorporate to make a maneuver just to level this individual and cover everything up as a government cover-up. Some fat individual process that is called a gland, a fatty gland. Fatty glands that are on the heart arteries of the Hart administration, Ronald Reagan administration, exposing their surfaces. No, open the cavity and opening out, alleviating the organs and exposing them because they're either an organ donor or not an organ donor or some habitual family enactment for the, of course, Kennewick, Richland, or Pasco Life Care Centers services and retirement services or hospice services, whatever the case might be. She was just pulled up in a gigantic APRA medical equipment with scooters, walkers, canes, and they'll chat in the back and just laugh everything out in a distorted order, knowing that means when they're laughing means they're depressed in many ways, it shapes and forms. It's like they're crying or howling when the sirens go off, like arr. It's a depression mode. See, they're in depression. It's a review of stationary construction because it has to be reconstructed of the repairs and damage that the U.S. Marine Corps did. Of course, running everything over and all the way into a broker's statutory duties is what's called now. Estate brokers. See, regardless of whether broker or agent, let's bring in an agent in Annie Miller's office and bring in an agent and have him confronted, knowing for a fact, the sibling, the blood flow, the arteries, the semen, the RNA, DNA, the reproduction sac of the testicles, and confronting the agent to Annie Miller, Watch State Bar Association, of course, and explaining Mr. Yates, and having a conversation with Mr. Yates, and knowing for the staff members, the judges, the lawyers, the police officers, state patrolmen, and all agencies are nothing but crooked individuals. See, the dead orifice bodies in the back of the truck, AM irrigation here at 7102 West Oganample, Cunaught, CUNAAUT, or I would just say, Benton County Justice Department, or Sandy Strong, the best elite force of prosecution and evacuating buildings, also taking down any individuals on premise or in promise or serving illegal aliens paper document to their face. With, of course, with Susan Elite Force and Mrs. Lawson and Mrs. Penny and Mr. Penny and Mrs. Penny driving their low Harley Davidson around at Mueller's funeral at age, I don't know, how old was I? I was sperm inside urethra at that time. But knowing for the fact they go in Rest Haven or Parkhurst or Forest Lawn or Glendale or any of the Jew graves. That means Muslims that can provide some Muslim Jews that were tortured and mayhem and killed by millions. So there's this SRS1 Black Blake. So those promises of consent to show up to court, promise to return or promise to appear. This is present of written offers, written notices, and another written communication from others party at a time. Anything at 10,000 feet or 100,000 feet, a stratosphere atmosphere. Releasing the sperm into the vagina at that time is, I believe, as they say, it says right here, the firm of information secured directly from the firm, the scrotums, the left and right testicle, the abdominals, the glutix, the hamstrings, the tendons, the heart artery. During listing terms, the seller of the pay firm above commission. That'd be Sandy Strong. She's quite the individual with those APRA tanks in her plant, Farm Bureau plant on Clearwater. And Winco is a family-owned business. And Jackson's, it's not Jackson, Jackson's Bar, the trophies, emblems, and also the APRA Life tank that sits in the Jackson trophies. It says, by term listing agreements, the lung, the heart, the kidney, the breast, the abdominals, the agreement of leasing this property to you, you have to be email or, of course, any internet service, email service. That'd be, of course, Sprint, AT&T, T-Mobile, Smart Talk. And Smart Talk is AT&T, Sprint Mobile. And you got Motorola. And you also got some other channeling and services those services. And those services are within, communication does not fall within that real estate factor of leasing. They say expecting commissions for the duty to check of rental inquiry RCW. Of that leasing, that property is still not yours, but you can lease to it. So you can lease it to the United States government. You can lease it to an FBI agent. You can lease it to a police officer, state patrolman. You can lease it. You can give it a mailbox, give it a key, and lease it to them. See, they don't, because they're going to have to go get a Washington Bar Association bar number, and they're going to go to law school, and they're going to pronounce their services, trying to reenact, reconfiscate, cover everything up. As you see at Mueller's Freeway, also around the headstones, and also concrete, Portland concrete around the high-impact sprinkler system. And those high-impact Portland inquiries, I'll use it as ammunition in any contest and shape or form. We have one, Mr. Bob Thompson, has fallen to the ground, and he cannot get up. He needs a walker. He needs a lifeline around his neck. Say he needs a Google password, a Google feature on the services. And this is a prospective buyer, however. He's in the midst of City Hall in Richland, Washington, and he's also a City Hall law firm in Pasco, Washington, called Bob Thompson Law Firm, right across the street from Franklin County. And that's number one. The number two, the number three, number four, number five, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, buildings sector. Now, Mr. Bob Thompson, we have to pull Mrs. Lola Hernandez off, Mr. State Patrolman Soderman in Pasco, Washington, apartment 205, Section 2 apartments. The scooter, and also the IV bags on top of the shelving, the terminal bed, and of course also the increments of all their services of entertainment, and nothing but Pepsi, Coca-Cola products, and also all of services in the refrigerator, and also downstairs, upstairs, and actually there's the services and the maintenance room, and also the increments of all the water lines assessments that flooded out. Apartment 507, second apartment, 14th Street. This is flooded out just like Mueller's Freeway. The gigantic Land Rover Company, and also the Riley's enactment towards that action. It's on page 254. I can't miss it. It's on the rack. It's on the listings. See, I'm sure Andy Miller wanted to do that. All his life, all of them, have been in the break times. They'd love to do that. They'd love to go more beyond that, and in your face, and confront you about any situation, in any shape, way, or form. And those services, those cavity searches, and the X-rays and body services, those orifices that are in your body, and we're going to have you lock and key until it comes out of your orifices. And confront those services, and then you can use that. And you try to squirm yourself out of a murder beat, a contraband service, and make it look good. And you get processed and go to prison anyways, you're going to just make it look all kinds of good. You're going to be a looting police officer, state patrolman, saying you're the hardest criminal ever to approach individuals. Knowing Mr. George Bush and Mr. George Bush filed bankruptcy, Mr. Donald Trump filed bankruptcy because of you. As a fallen individual misusing the system and services and witnesses all through the states of Washington. In all shape or forms, and you put camouflage, badge uniform, and falsifying your affidavit, minimum service. I see C's in the parking lot. I see a car that's parked in there with a different license plate, but I got the VIN number. So you can squirm your way yourself into a uniform with some shoes and put a badge and uniform and portray yourself as Mr. Steven Seagal or just maybe it's Bruce Lee or Brandon Lee, wherever that case might be. I mean, and then in the services, you got the oxygen tanks and the service you got to update your service and perform your antibiotics in a way of service. Andy Miller's no fool. In which way is their mother or grandfather, or their service Lola? The footnotes are emitted and downloaded on this server, and the services they have is unbelievable. Department licensing. All of them are so sophisticated individuals, especially humankind services with the signature dotted on the services. And I told you in many shape and way forms I brought all kinds of individuals upstairs. I had nothing to do with this sick individual in trimester processing their DNA into orifices. As Donald Trump said, she had awesome sex with the services you can bring it to the Pope or the Godfather, John Gotti, or some. We have any ways, maybe shape, form that you're the hardest individual. And we know you're sitting there crying over your headstone. You're crying over your services, your dead officer, and smiling. And cry all you want. It's not going to bring anybody back to the real life of this document that's on your face. Look, it says the trial denied. Motion striking. Your last meal or whatever, the lethal injection, that needle. Everybody's done it. I'm sure everybody's done that obligation of statutory duties that they claim to be, which is black and white. Riley's secured motion of summary of custody contending. See, Mr. J. Mueller is a very, very sophisticated individual. Now, he's going to be dealing with and confronting with these individuals, which is all criteria all over the highways, the state, all services, and all these trees and these shrubs and sod and equipment and aviation fuel and unleaded diesel and the trail that goes all the way to Andy Miller's office and back service and these gas fuel cars, VIN numbers, and falsified plates that are on the VIN number. That's why you need a VIN number. Any state patrol officer of service, dispatcher, anybody with 60 years and above, like she's 80, so she's working dispatch, state patrol, or the sheriff's office, or dispatch at Othello, Kennewick, Pasco, and their siblings. They all know you need a VIN number. Anybody can put a license plate and drive off John F. Kennedy's body and have them, Mr. Senator McCain, show up with his badge and uniform to make sure that all Kennedy families are dead, are executed, are no longer living. This is Mueller's funeral. There's no segregation. There's no mental dispute. There's no domestic violence. There are no violent offenders. There's no in those area at all. As you see how they spread the caution and analyze under this CPA ordinance, you see the this is detainment, deinterment, taking body off. They have no heads on them because the dental work and also the fingers, they're chopped off because they don't get the fingerprint signatures. Now the dental records, the head of the whole head off the spine. This is a necessity. Evidence. This is ammunition that is used in many ways and shapes and forms. Just a small millimeter. See, we got the 2000, September 2009, and also 2008, December 3rd, which Senator McCain has fallen. Senator McCain fallen in their service in his Senate floor as considering enactments and services that contain Washington state ordinances, which are always used in the Washington Bar Association. There's explaining September 7th, 2019. This is September 27th, 10 days later of 2019. This is case reported issuance. Ben versus Martin. IN custody of SM. This is the Nail versus Special Electric Company. This is the State versus Delhade. State versus SMG. This is State versus Vance. This is Bellevue Park Homeowners Association. Wells for Fargo's Bank. It's Clearwater, Washington. Also Division in Spokane, Washington. This is Christian versus Providence Regulation Medical Center, Everett, Washington. This is also Practices and Service in Moses Lake, Washington. They just separated the segregation and conference calls and services on internet. So this ownership and services says Civic versus Pinnacle Proposition Management Service, Pinnacle Group Association. And this is the Evergreen Tree Care INC versus City Kirkendall. That's nuts, walnuts, pecans, Spanish peanuts, peanuts. You can segregate all the Spanish peanuts, all the hot stuff, and all the Mexicans and services they have. Real good. It says Deep Press versus Lake Forest Estates Homeowners Association. Looks good. Hillard Lewis County Water and Sewer District number 5. Fire District 5, Fellow Watch, Fire District International Open Moose Lake, Air Force One. Let's go Hay versus 400 Condo Association. Leisure tax has gone up. See? And the detention of McMahon. Now McMahon, that's a U.S. bank, but they just gave it a different name. Guardianship of Arnold's Hawkins. Different name, gas line, services, pavement, asphalt, gravel. And marriage of Anthony. 1004. This is page. And official plat courts. 9WN app. Number 2D 303-367 apostrophe 1043-1053 number 3. So they documented evidence, the Vietnam vets, the Vicons, the Vietcong, Vietnamese, the rice paddy burners, and of course Daryl Johnson. He has AIDS, suspicious AIDS, but he's been vaccinated with gonorrhea, clap, and syphilis. That's why he has all those marks on his hands, Daryl Johnson, Mr. Green Beret. But we got footage of Mr. Daryl Johnson in a sailor uniform throwing a U.S. Marine off a ship. And that's the USS Washington. Yeah, Daryl Johnson is a sophisticated and very strong individual. Stronger than you think. See, Felix Barela sitting there bitch slapping Mr. Daryl Johnson around because he can't stand the sophisticated individual of his black plague awareness of these black minorities, and he knows Felix Barela. Felix Barela knows Daryl Johnson has sex with these popular individuals, these Jews, sophisticated Jews, but I'm calling them, they say they're Jews because they are Jews, and they're sophisticated, armed individuals on a military base and inactive on a Mueller's funeral home. And Mr. J. Mueller's trying to pull me off Daryl Johnson again in many ways. So the water lines explode everywhere, landing all over the place. And I'm reciting the Bible to Mr. Daryl Johnson and J. Mueller administrating his office, and also Taylor and Sheriff Taylor, and also U.S. Marine Administration. The time has come. It says the Peel Index, Finding of Fact Review. Documentary Evidence of Revolution Shop Complex. Mr. Judge Barbara Johnson. Daryl Johnson. Now, look at Barbara Otis. Barbara Boxer. And this is failure to proceed effect. Appeal what the Constitution rejection of palate argument. See, they're married, and he's having sex with this black and this white guy and this white girl, and Daryl Johnson is saying that guy's a homosexual or he, she, or he, she, or something. It says on this document that you can perform infield sex if you are married in shape or form. You can have sex if you're married. See, it says this document says review law of case ruling, not appeal. Not appeal. But civil procedure substance of form. See, the constitutional law due process promoted due. So you can take that lawnmower and mow around that headstone. And that's Daryl Johnson's grandfather. Now, the civil procedure subject of form, constitutional law, due process, procedure, due process, requirement, meaningful opportunity to heard in general. Courts of the courts, Constitution similar, federal in general. That's page 317. Criminal law, trial taking case from juries, sufficiency evidence, checking sufficiency effects, circumstances evidence, review tests, child support, of course. See, that's me. They're pulling me off him because he's nothing but a sophisticated Mr. Yates. He's yelling at me, pulling me off all these individuals that are on walking the streets, or criminal convicts wearing uniforms and badges and portraying themselves they built Godzilla or the Pentagon, or built a liquor facility, and there's pretty self-explanatory. See, the liquor exposure to my skin will just melt and dry up and heal back up. See, the maintenance enforcement limitation period, actual arrangements, foreign order enforcements. See, when you have Mr. President and Mrs. President show up at 1313 Grand Ronde promoting themselves as an individual, and then 2 months later he is executed, and Jay Mueller with Felix Barela driving around in a hearse, and Mr. Kennedy's body in the back is born again, Mr. Senator McCain on the side, shot riding shotgun. So the wheels fall off. The legal basis is simply remarriage. And it says remarriage. If you're married, you can have connote sex. See, if you're married with rings and billions or millions or even pennies in your account or pennies in your pocket, you're married, you can have sex. See, but it says, but if you have AIDS, gonorrhea, clap, and no one for like let's have an example. Daryl Johnson has AIDS, but he was vaccinated and they cured him. But you know why? Because the United States government protects individuals that are married, especially when they're judges and absent panels and they're having sex, and everybody sees pulling off Daryl Johnson, and he's supposed to be the world's powerful man, but Felix Barela beats him down like nobody had ever seen before. And of course, Daryl Johnson said, "Come throw him in the hole." Throw him in there and cut his head off just like the rest of them, because they'll never ever be me. See, they all jump in and sit there. They renege, they lie to people, and they come to the table and try to eat with you and say they did things for you when they really didn't do nothing for football. They see nothing but, you know what I'm saying? But Jay Mueller is quite the individual. He's nobody to deal with. No one but he's a sophisticated, educated guy from the mortuaries of services, as you see, the Jews and enlistment services and selective services here. And then there will be October 1st, 2019, September 27th, 2019, December 3rd of 2019, around 18. See, they keep on coming back for more reaching from, dealing with some kind of way, making RCJ somebody fabricated. And this is October 1st, 2019. But it says September 17, 2019. And then the services they got, the body order of every property that's been existing in the United States of America, Washington State. These properties belong to Yakima Reservation, and Yakima Reservation stretched all the way into Idaho, Montana, South Dakota. These back trail systems, Mr. George Washington fought all of them. And he fed his militia armies on campus of the nursing homes. These nursing homes were military enactments, There were thieves, rapists, raping and pillage, if you say, and they got away with it. His existence still comes around. His image, Mr. Daryl Johnson. He speaks English, but he speaks Spanish and foreign language. But you see me pulling, you see in front of gypsies, Hells Angels, gypsy chokers, Mongols, clotheslining, getting them off motorcycles in front of everybody because it ain't your land. It never will be your land. And never, threats, driving vehicles, disguising and camouflaging. It happens. It happens everywhere I go. This is the document right here. See? It says, finding fact review of documented evidence, solution of complex question, standard review. You from Stanford, Harvard University, prestige college, give you 1 hour, give you a head start. You test them for an hour, and I sit for a half hour, I test, I get this document printed out. It says, right here, Washington Bar Association, Associates of Contempt of Services, it says criminal law, tribal taking case query, sufficient evidence, it says challenge of sufficient effect, it says Constitution says evident review test. See, I know this fact because I'm in the surgical floors in Spokane. I'm in surgical floors upstairs, downstairs, eating in their face. See, it says child support is for the esophagus, the fallopian tubes, the services of 9-8 months, or got jaundice, or the pain and anguish. See, the service, it says limitation period, actually. Averages. The averages. That's 1 million, 2 million of dead bodies that are in the back in my property. Human resources, I'm in her face. It says Sunny Farm, Sunset Acres, so forth. Simon's Mall, I'm in her face. Oh, no. Enforcement limitation period, active arrangements, foreign order and enforcement, limitation period and services, and incumbency, and public policy and presumptions and supports obligation continuing after recipients of remarriage. Now, this service in legal biases and remarriage, in fact, in instance, it means you're married once, and you're married once, you're married forever, and there's no way of getting out of it. Now, juveniles continued. So you got juvenile custody continued, non-parent petition continued. I got quails, female quails. I don't know if that owl was a female. I don't know if that owl was a male. I didn't get time to do that because I was so sophisticated. Reviving the dramatized owl. And there's an owl that's about 4 foot tall. I've never seen an owl 4 foot, 3 foot tall in my life before. Having a wingspan, phenomenal. An owl sitting on Sitka Street in Spokane, Washington, Alaska area. It's a Mormon church filled with Russians and bureaucrats and Muslims. Cornered them in there, and they executed all of them. And there was a black owl sitting with me. Brownish owl from Canada. Mr. Donald Trump himself. Newport Boston Pizza, Toronto, Toronto Mall, and also the mall, and also the services that I built. Bear Crossing, Kodiak Bell, Bear Services, a natural resort. South 395 Newport Highway is a natural. Please remain calm. Do not feed bears. Do not roll windows. Do not put in rooms. Stay where you're at till they cross, or you will be executed. Don't touch. So this reframed this information, Mr. Yates. He'll never get the execution. He'll never be executed by lethal injection. It's normal conversation, Mr. United States Army. You call them the bureaucrats and services. They are the services. They just say they don't. You let them linger. You let these fools just pass, Mr. Yates. These individuals, specifically in the United States, Pentagon, flight stealth bomber, aviation, 1,000-pound hours, millions of hours, uncalculated service. You can't even give information to these fools. You're looking at it. See, Mrs. Yates is another story. Now she's suffering the consequences of the services of repercussions. But there's no repercussions. There's no change. They're married. So he likes slithering in holes, as you can see. Now the motions of these services. Defense preliminary hearing, burden proof of what's on you, what you have, Social Security, your services, on your fingerprints, your services. You stay where you're at, you're through. You are through with. And you never, ever will be the same again. Everyone around you will never be the same. The finger of God comes in shapes and forms. But the funnel tunnel will not stay in here in state of Washington because we have 3 sisters. The 3 sisters are here because of the control dam of atmosphere controlling the surfaces. Like Arizona, you can make it snow, you can make it rain, you can make it hail, you can make it flood, and you can make a lot of things with that control feature. Now, searches and seizures continued on warrant continuing fidelity continued review consensus. And these restoration sought, of course, when I say the big word, the S word, and the F word, like Daryl Johnson or Jay Mueller or George Bush or Miss George Bush or Laura Bush or Barbara Bush. They said, we put them on front street. It says, these statues limited expired, they never will be, never will be, never will be. The Luther King statue got taken down. The Saddam Hussein statue, the oil company and the services, and also the document I got. I want to seal it, Mrs. Taylor, Miss Taylor, and Miss Taylor. So there's no going back on that, no reading it. I mean, Daryl Johnson portrayed and processed the information and having sex with their services and the DNA and the RNA and the flipping and the exercising these services to full mental effect. And also the service of pulling me off them in many ways and shape and form. Mr. Andy Miller put it on himself, putting sod on a south lawn. Mr. putting his patches on. There's no patches. Mr. Andy Miller, you gotta take all those patches off, be the man you are. And lay that sod down on the south lawn and knowing what you did wrong and what you did right. And there's no change in that, in the shape or form. Putting it and being on your knees and knee, not giving forgiveness or sourness of the smell of stench of the rotten bodies you smell. There's nothing coming back. You are married. Now, statute is considered in the whole Superfluous Provision Act, page 340. The less of liberty, meaning the words or articles in singular article each other direct. These processes of confirmed history and their history for positions, and these disguised images deferred and dose inversion, California Orange and Washington Orange, and they can hide all they want and discourage because that's why they have the quickness of their dexterity, the fingertip of this disrupted Microsoft program, fondling their computer or laptop. And this says, meaning words, article, singular article before each direct object. Question law, effect review, standard language, plain language, dermatology, grammar. As long as it's spaghetti, just a small minute millimeter of the deadness, toxins will be released and sealed. Now, this is several articles that there's a piece of document you sign. It's not. It's like a divorce, but when you're married, you get money. When you're married, you get money, you get funds, and it's a service that you sign this document. It's not a contract. It's forever. Say when you serve, or you get caught having sex with somebody else, or somebody having babies with somebody else, or you're having sex with and you're still in the same household with this person. This document right here says maintenance service. There's your nails, your dental work, your hygiene, your water issuance, your toilet. Just bring the toilet to Carol J. Benzel's office and drag it from Cimaron 5 and all the orifices and services that have been exposed to the community, to Andy Miller's office, of course, and also the services they have in the cowards that are in the property. They don't, FBI County, that's 300 acres, 300,000 acres, and that's George Washington. The FBI has so many acres in their service for FBI to practice and also process and use all ordinances to their discretionary, if they feel fit, until all bodies are put in body bags and then disclosed and explode on Front Street. Like back then, that'd be Billy the Kid, Doc Holliday, that's Spokane, Washington, and Bonnie and Clyde saying no service, and Sunny Dance Kid. Would Sunny Dance Kid, not Sunny Farm, Sunny Dance Kids in Spokane, Washington, also, and Billy the Kid, still alive, but to the last day, He's died of natural causes, of course, but he sold all his product. And Elvis Presley's still alive, but he faked his death too, because the United States Army and government services provide services. And Mrs. Presley, his daughter, in Pismo Oceano Beach, San Luis Obispo, California, Ronald Reagan Ranch, his father's still alive. He's a heroin addict, major heroin addict. Just like India, Pakistan, Muslim Shiites, and Saudi Arabians, and obscure, of course, Saudi Arabia, that's Bin Laden. Major, hardcore heroin addicts. And then they do meth. And then they run off with white people. And they come and get imprisoned because they beat up their wives or servants. They see Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney, or servers or family members, immediate family members having sex with them. And they just sit there and just execute somebody and make an arrangement and pay for the services and put you on custody. Now, Britt versus Martin, 2nd, 203, Court of Appeal, holding registration enforcement foreign order manifest and patient. It's all right here. It's coming out. It's Barela section. Look, you got all paid for, all services paid, and ANCRES. See, that comes out of people's mouth because they're not a drug addict or heroin addict or do anything wrong in law or illegal. That's why it comes out of Felix Barela's mouth with his teeth and his adversaries. They couldn't even take anybody down in the shape of form because they like writing pen, paper, making witnesses because they're homeboys or services, like Mosley police officers getting shot in public, Mosley, or Kennewick police officers getting shot in public, or Prosser, Washington, or Findlay, Washington people coming here throwing a heyday or a gangbang situation with Mr. Schaefer, Mrs. Schaefer's services. And he has a dispute with Rachel Washington services and Mr. Bob Tom, their services that fell to the ground. Explode the community. So you're going to have to break limbs or you're going to have to inject them with something and carry them off in the gurney and make things up. Don't look good, does it?
Have you seen people fighting over toilet paper?
This is internet.
It's all over the internet.
This is Google. It's activated because my face.
So I had to do something
This face
to
is not
replace
your
toilet
face.
paper.
And
Now my friend
we're in Animal's
recommended
office.
this brand here, Clear.
9 Chief Justice Department. This says pornographic videos. This guy went to prison for
Dr.
several
Fauci,
counts. Look,
thank you so much for
this
joining
is
us
his
on the
face.
Daily Social
This is
Distancing
the
Show.
guy.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
All you have
Very
to
well.
do is
You are.
he's going to run his police car and run from you. He's going to say he's going to arrest you and he's going to get him shot, killed, or something. Whatever the case might be, you can put a military phone and look at this individual. He's going to sit there and start a problem when he can't even fight Felix Barela in shape or form. And the shape or form don't result to a fight until he pulls out a gun or a knife and taser and demonstrate that he's quite the individual that got him in the circumstance of digging the grave out, and they're going to have to push him in it, give him lethal injection in many ways and shapes and forms. All the family members in the screen are going to sit there and beat him up in public or in discretion and put him in protective custody and put him in a vehicle and drive him off and drop him off somewhere. We'll find him one way or another. She's bamboo sticks are homemade. Bamboo sticks are considered to make a housing environment. You got razor blades, shredded razor blades called Lamb Weston blades here in Wild Lamb Weston. It used to be called Tater Boy. Tater Boy owns Lamb Weston, and Idaho owns Tater Boy. In Idaho, it's called Idaho. And Idaho Home Depot liquor detainment be where they test liquor bonds. New Mexico's Mr. Senator McCain, Mrs. Megan McCain, but their reservices, they say she's retarded. I said Amy Mueller's retarded, and it's just in shape and form. They like making things up. But the real thing is, the story is that the documents I'm playing partner on your SAT ASVAB is 2,400 points is the max point score. If you get a 2,400 point score on your paperwork, they try making things up in any which ways and shape and forms. And the fact of demonstrating in the process that you have to have. The test takes 3 hours, 5 hours to test. Some people, individual 2 hours, 2,400 pound test score to get the accurate 2,400 points. It takes about 3 hour and a half to do the test, 4 hours, something like that. But it really only takes 20 minutes to do the test. These conceptions and false informations and false advertisements and their fingers, their hands, their movements, their labor, their contracts, prevailing wage, their shortcuts and not shortcuts and policy and issues of procedure and regulations and policies are overlooked in many ways and shape and forms. Somebody leaving and breathing liquor activity, knowing what to do, what not to do, what to do, how to hire, who to hire, family-owned business. Being an international, be laying in bed or bed, hazmat, sanitized, bleach, Clorox, spray, vaporizers, oxygen tanks, surgical equipment, of course. Washington State Patrol has frequencies. They have blue chip. They got it's called a white diamond. This is called a black diamond. It's called a Russian diamond. The qualifications and faults in diamonds and services on the frequency is called frequency. There's red, there's white, there's orange, there's pink, there's black, there's white, and also there is a anti-Semitic Microsoft component. Mr. Bill Gates walked out. Of course. And it's a trophy wife for Berta Barela. Trophy wife. You guys care. You won't let her. You guys will not release her. You will not let her go in many ways, shape, or form. So it seems like, well, of course, Donald Trump has a headstone, of course, on that property. That property that's on the property says Trump on it. Says that's my property. It has my arrangements, my service first, administration rights, and that covenant, that service there, Muezzin service. However you may put it. However you may fabricate it, whatever name you put on it, we know what that is, and never will be fabricated ever again in that shape or way or form. This beautiful laptop is in Annie Miller's office. It gives you that initiated service, which any people, they could put a SIM card, and then they could put a USB to it, connect it, and then whatever shape and form, if it's an old server, if it's a 1980s, 1990s, or 2000 computer, all you have to is slip this USB into it, and it works, and in shape and form. And the system is how they false identity, false information, any services and services. Of course, you go in a bank, your resignation on your face, your fingerprint, your swipe, your voice is activated regardless. So that dictionary is good. Retrieving your data and your information. And Microsoft does taxes, and it automatically does the tax. So when that antivirus is injected in Annie Miller's office, as you can see, all the computers, viruses, and the seals, Armageddon is all over again. Global access of the planet has been thrown off, and this planet will never be the same. The conditions environment has to coexist, is suffering anguish, pain, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, those satellites and access of co-access with the hidden fools, and they're trying to take over the system, as you can say, which is Armageddon. The seals of documents and services all downloaded on those computers. Those Justice Department Services, Superior District, Municipal and Abstract Department of DOL, Department of Licensing. These services and FBI SID numbers on your first and last name in any state you can travel. Pretty accurate to the T. And there's no going back on that because you are married and you're a U.S. citizen. You belong to the United States of America. And that's the way it is, and that's what happened. Even if the household's under U.S. citizenship, and also the services providing services, renting out you a penthouse, president's suite, discretionary in that way, you're going to have $35 million in your possession to even have your little domain firewall and brick that protects all these 5 borders of the United States of America. So this domain firewall system is pretty accurate to the T, but you got these old laptops, and the service are, even if it's old laptop, it still works. And discretionary with this accurate generation 1011 is what it is. It's a generation 11, generation 12, 13, 14, generation 20, generation 100,000, whatever you want to put it, century, 100 years, whatever. There's nothing stopping it. They're turning over their graves as you speak. It's pretty sad seeing Dale Johnson having intimate sex with this individual, and I have to show the photo of the female that he had sex with. See? Anybody in CIA, FBI Academy, or anybody having sex or online service with affairs or services with individuals that had no sex with any of their staff members or services or siblings, and showing them their ass, serving their butt to their face, sure, putting the hamburger into their mouth, the steak into their mouth, and they can swallow it out their butt into the toilet paper in the toilet. Let him know who he is, what he is, and he's nobody. We got a beep. We got a beep. That means the server has been downloaded. This thing is beeping. It's telling me the first and last of recognition, first name and date. And the communication barrier on this firewall has been fully injected in the service. You see the oozing out of the device, which is the semi-bermembrane, the cells of RNA DNA from the fovea of the left and right of the brain. See the ooziness of the injection of this antivirus does nothing, because the vaccination does work. The vaccination does work.
Yeah, that's gonna look better. I think that's what's on there. Softer. Okay. Yeah, that's all.
Experiencing turbulence in a few minutes. Tornadoes will not last here in Tri-Cities, Campus, and Pasco. For the reason for the 3 sisters of Baker, my Baker, Shasta, blah, 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 my sons, and these locations, these high peaks and services are controlled by controlled dam services. These dams have a backup system to shut down the systems to shut down the nuclear Hanford site in seconds and minutes and hours and weeks. In that duration of period of time, we experience some turbulence. Small turbulence. This fault line through all the way to San Francisco, fault line, San Andreas, San Diego, and also Los Osos, Cimaron, Morro Bay. These whales, and you will experience whales, sperm whales, and whales surfacing because of the earthquake exposure, because the bottom of the sea, of the ocean, of the level sea level is very hot. There is lava. So the whales are going to be up because of the fault lines. So we'll be in your face, confronting about everything that you did. information, probably get the FFC number off this one, which is a, it says mom on the bottom. It says M-O-M on the bottom of it. You see the small print says mother, M-O-M on the laptop, see? M-O-M. DNA are the services, the DNA of soft schools of the name. It's FCC. It says Dell, of course. And then it says the increments of the SKU. It says the co-sense and rights and services. This must be the best computer you can get in the market on the planet. Situation on this thing, you're going to have to please remain calm and experience tearing for 15 minutes at least. Because if you can't run a mile in 15 minutes, and I can run 3 miles in 15 minutes, I can run, you're a state patrolman, you're a state patrolman on I-90. I can run, exercise. This sign, this posted sign says, anything over 65 miles, you're going to have to pull you over, Mr. State Patrolman. You're going to have to take me to Department of Licensing. Or I could just, what do you want? You're going to have to release me, because you're going to release me, because when you take me anywhere, they're going to ask you who you are, what you want, and what you need, because you fitted overweight, obscene individuals driving state patrol vehicles, the V8 Interceptor at that time, with all the weapons and entertainment in your wallet in your back pocket, and also the Department of Licensing and my signature, and your license, and also the fueling signature services. I'll just walk it from the fence line. If you're going to make me, how many minutes are you going to give me? Because that's only about approximately 3-4 mile run there, and you can give me 5-7 minute run, because I can do that, no problem. Right over the fence into the mansion area. And from that mansion area, from that fence line, I'll tell them everything what you said, because you really, let me, can't run on I-90, you can't walk, hike, you can use a bicycle. That's pretty unusual, is what I thought. Because all on this property is my property. So I can walk all the way on this property into Seattle on my property, into Seattle, into the ocean on my property, into the yacht in my property called Capitol Hill, and Kim Wayman, Secretary of State, and Governor Mansion, Governor's office actually, and Kim Wayman, the Secretary. It's all women. Of course, they're fighting because they have he, she's, as Danny Miller says, he, she, and generals, NATO admirals, and generals, and NATO admirals, they all call them he, she, or whatever, discretionary, but there's a little document to fill out if you want to complain about that. If you're going to yell at me or attack me in the shape of thorn, you see the sibling services, I'm in your face. Here's your little paper. Here's your little paper. You're right away. Here's a laptop. You can use a laptop. You can use that. So this computer is phenomenal. Satellite jet propulsion is aviation fuel is administration with multiple services downloaded to satellite inside a Mueller's frenulum and every casket and that north. And there's no way getting out of that. Because the body cam on you, the system and the technology, it does exist and it will exist, and whatever you initiate on any key or button on a feature. It's phenomenal. These satellites, these crystals they have on the technology of the State Patrol vehicles, which are controlled by modulated jet-propelled satellite systems. John Deere Evergreen implement RDK systems, stellar systems, and also the systems are controlled by satellites, controlled in Bushnells, and then controlled and downloaded and liquidizing property, leasing, contracts. Wall Street has these systems, download systems, and connected into backup systems and the microsystems. And I can't believe the Watch Data reports this information to make sure it is corrected in any way, shape, and form. Containing claims determined in the Court of Appeals of Washington. This is September 17, 2019. No going back on that one. October 1st, 2019. Case reported issuance, Department of Social Health and Services. Very good, very good. Versus Ardon. See Ardon? Future Wise versus Sonoma County. Very good, very good. IN dependence of AETH. JH versus State. And Montgomery versus Air Service Corporation. Very good. You see how fast I can move with that minute. You're a state patrolman, you're official. State patrolman, whatever state patrolman. I-9, you can see me run that 3 miles in how many minutes? Like 6, 7 minutes? You must be the bad day for you, state patrolman. You must be, you got nothing else but to do but harass somebody that owns this property, I-90, and fraudulent and process all this information. This canine dog that next to me, all these canine dogs. I'm put all my stuff on the sheriff's car, have this canine, have him bite you because you don't own this land. The orifice is the smell of smells of fear in you, sheriff, because you own an international, you own an Air Force One and everything, document the services and the government roads, you don't even own that. Yeah, you can drive me straight to the process, whatever discretion, fingerprint machine, breathalyzer, we're going to confront everyone in your face. So, October 1st, 2009, very good, very impressive. Montgomery versus Air Service Corporation. Plain versus USA case, INC Corporation. State versus Anderson, very good, that's nice, very impressive. State versus INA. State versus Ingram, Heckle, Tech 9, full automatic handgun, Beretta, full automatic, semi-automatic, and single action AR-10. AR-10, not AR-15, not AR-15, AR. This is SR-10 full automatic, and these are domestic and military issuance to the public society. This is Staff versus Phelps. Mr. Phelps. Mr. Phelps under influence of alcohol. Gold medal, silver, bronze, Mr. Phelps. At Gonzaga University, sleeping on my couch, walkers, furniture. See, I have no DUI or habitual offense or service of any service. I'm at Cal Poly University on my diving board in Cal Poly University. It is my diving board. I can dive and seek and drop off any aircraft or jump off any kind of flying object with oxygen tanks anytime I want. Any day. I can jump as high as I want. State versus Phelps. Very impressive. Very impressive. Is that your driver, like CDL license? Is that your back butterfly stroke? Is that your curl? Is that your abdominal? Is that your astratus on your lipids attached to the stomach muscles? Versus State versus Phelps again. Very impressive. Very impressive. This is October 1st, 2019. Yeah. Curley versus Skagit Valley. Darlin versus Sonoma Paris. Davison versus Pacific County. Department of Children, Youth, Families, versus Brown, very impressive. The Brownies, the Girl Scouts Club, of course, the Brownies Club, and the Girl Scouts of America, very impressive. Now, the Department of Health Services and Daniels. Oh, Kathy Daniels. Oh, yes, Kathy Daniels. Double, triple D. Saggy Kathy Daniels. Susie and Jody. Sucking off all those criminal convicts for plea bargains. And the Corridor Services. And the Kennel Command. Mighty Columbia River, Mr. Yates, and also Ridgeway, and also he's very immature. The Green River Clear. He's Volkswagen, Mr. Wolson there. During Mr. Sinclair, very impressive. I like that one. Not married once, not married twice, not married 3 times, not married 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This guy is a professional Mormon in many ways. He's Mr. Graham himself, 118 chapter in Christian Bible. Look at this. Estate Lake Loft Condo Association versus Condo Group LLC. Estate Lake Loft Condo Association. Hover versus Hover. Very impressive. Hover, and that Hover, those Hovers is vacuums intake valve systems from the Blackhawk works in many magic ways. It's just the click of a button, ignition switch, and sucks all that water and just fabricates and takes care of the situation. Any fire duration Blackhawk in the world, planet, in seconds. In seconds, billions, millions of gallons in seconds. Now, Gray versus Buck. Gray versus Buck, and Idris versus Apple. Very impressive. Dependency of ARGH, dependency KB, dependency EP, and CC. Very impressive. Now, this is October 15, 2019. Burton versus Soames, INC. Burbank Proposed LLC. Eskin versus LAC. Freedom Found versus Department of Social. Very impressive. Page 587 on that one. Larson versus State. Markman versus Traveler Commercial INC Company. State versus Gorman Lycan. And State versus Ray. State versus Harris. And State versus Hancock. Hancock is really Hancock, but it's Hancock. Like Hong Kong. Hong Kong. Hong Kong. See, when they say Godzilla was here. Godzilla. See, Chimney versus Cascade Tree Service. I see, very impressive on that. Root ball, nitro pellets, very impressive. It was in your hand. It wasn't yours. It was in your hand, and when you're 10-finger discount. And then it's going to discount all paid in full, 10 folds in your face. No, temporary to a U.S. Bank. Trial in a U.S. Bank. You see, she moved up in the world now. She's moving up. Coban versus State Farm Fire and Cascade Company. And guardianship with Wilkins. Wilkins, very impressive, Mr. Wilkins. Marriage of Rojas and Negron. Negro. What it is, Negro. Negron. What it is, and what it is, and it never will change. It never will ever be. So it says marriage of Rojas. And appears restraint of Heron. The restraint of Heron, because you're violent. You're violent man. Spewing bull. Coming out to get you too violent. It says restraint of Heron. And the restraint of Petite. See, you see how they sharpen the horns on the teeth of my service here, of the top subrium, right, left subrium of the horns and the teeth, the sharpened, very sharp. Now you see the low versus low, very good. Lows, Mr. Jim Eller, CIA, FBI. Mr. Jim Eller is prestigious. Mrs. Unabomber of Oklahoma at Stratford Road. in Moses Lake, Washington. That's all he is. He has a couple trays to him. He sits and eats his meals and sits there and portrays and preys on his victims. Seriously, this guy is a Unabomber. So this is low versus low. And Shawpel versus Spokane Teachers Credit Union. And Smith versus Stout, State versus Hernandez, State versus Brown, State versus Christensen, State versus Koch, State versus Fletcher, State versus Grooves, Hubbard, Johnson, Osborne, Lopez, Smith, Warren, Wilkes, and Williams. All rolled up in a ball of wax in your earlobe, in your face. That's so impressive. Do you see how impressive that black and white ordinance, the reading A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, B, U, Z says October 15, 2019. Case recorded in this issue. There's some more information and ammunition for your ordinance in literature in Geneva. This is Geneva, NATO Ordinance for the Services. And these are bills and notes. Continued. Collection limited period, promissory note. And this is acceleration of Monterey continued on notice of additional acceleration. And this is acceleration. This means endorsements, any liquid 5 or components or moistures that they're mailed off and sent by mail. You have to show the postmaster what's in your envelope. No. Samsung 7 explode. Of course, Verizon will reimburse you all the funds and give you, of course, you have these Mercedes-Benz on the showroom floor for discount prices. And off the showroom floor, you got discounted Mercedes in the park because of the Verizon 7 Samsung. And it says, I got the document. I want to seal it right now, laminate it, and it's going to be posted in Mrs. Taylor's office, Secretary's office. It has a first name, signature, and declaration of it. And that declaration pendant was on Kennedy's property, in Kennedy's office, in a bag. And that's United States Air Force. Air Force One. The suburban circumference of issuance of God's Egg University doing laundry, and Mr. Phelps crashed out on my couch, of course. And I have to sit there and sympathize his individual and of all the women that broke up with him and treat him like the scumbag he is, because Mr. and Miss Bodacious, Mr. Frost and Jessica abandoned at 1313 Grand Road. And she's in my yard because this officer, whatever, she's breaking up with this fool. Because I sit there and watch the marijuana plants breach, mature with gigantic shrubs of beds of ganja, sinsemillion, indica, and also, don't forget, hashish, the purification of this service, the Cancer Society, and their services. So when, everyone's getting even with him because the bull stomped all over him. She's just making a fool of him because I'm sitting there, washing and mowing the lawn and fumigating this tree and taking the tree down and killing all bugs and pests that are in the area because they get onto the windshields and just devour my Barracuda with Mickey Thompson speed stick and messing up my Barracuda windshield wiper, age 1, age 2, age 3, messing up my Barracuda, messing up my bodacious emblems, my Hassau, my horses, my canines, my canine dogs, my immediate canine family members, and also my gold mine, the liquor activity, and also the apple, the pecan, and the squirrels everywhere, pecan trees, strawberry patch, apple, oranges, pears, just messing up my services. And you're gonna have to call 911 and have some officer put a boot in your face. You're a Gypsy Hells Angel member, Mogul Services, and put a boot in your face, put your head into the apple orchard, smash your head orifice, put the earlobe of apple sauce, apple juice will be draining out of your earlobe because you're trying to make like you own this land or something. Be like Budweiser chip or something, or lamps and crane positioning Roberta's legs so you can stick your penis and come all in her vaginas and say you're passing information, or saying you own planets of the third world, Venus and Mars or something, or saying you're a space shuttle champ of the year. As you can see, Mr. Armstrong had his successor climaxing into her services, along with the Mormon churches. As you can see, this Trump in the background from the Utah fault line. That's no more, no more. It's in my vault. Appreciate APR rate for the service for credit card issuance. I give you a credit card. Now, the employment compensation dispute on this one. The danger of non-payment of wages, extreme damage, wage of constituting definitions. Pays due underemployment, consensual work. This is predicates, pronouns, additives, adverbs, and also the service and punctuated verbs, hyphens, periods, and in a discretion way. You will never, ever will be. Felix Barela. Wellness fauna disputes. The burdens of proof and effects subject to object. Component of review, standard of review. The Wage Rebate Act, and also construction of local constitution, purpose, and determination, damage, and negation, and subsidiary equivalent employments. And you need to use some big words. If you want some big words, we'll give you some big words, and we'll sit down a piece of paper and write down your big words and get your authority and definition anytime. We'll give you a computer and laptop, and you can test. Give you 3 hours, and I'll do it in 1/2 or 20 minutes. Just like that 3-mile run, but that 1-mile run is 14 minutes. You gotta do it within 14 minutes. If you don't, the confiscations will be proceeded. So those 2 miles I ran extra for within that 6-minute run, when it's done 14 minutes, there's gonna be a lot of explanatory on that body count that you got on carrying on you for simple and misusing the system and the community. Working on government land in your land, and you're on government land using these individuals: Mexicans, Japanese, Koreans, Vietnamese, Korean Flames, Jews, some squash, Heinz 57. Those services will reflect on the siblings of the Trinitarian of this month. This is awesome chapter. This is the index. In this index, Felix rates, and they have the prices officially on the screen page. It says $87.50 per year, $5.75 per issue. That's one issue, and $28.50 per binder, and $87.50 per year, 5.7 per issue. Let's go $28.50 and $25 per issue. That's a complement subject index. That's indexed itself. That's federal, state, and also watch state court rules. And then, this November 19, 2019, has the constitutional law and construction question inquiry on it. The law of fact review, standard review, the state of federal provision. These words and questions, these testing, they're going to give you these on your math, of course, but the prohibition on the reading and writing, comprehension, watch parts is totally different. They're going to have the fair conduct and misconduct and conduct, and also the features on the Class A uniform positioning on the left or right flank, position how many inches down for the right shoulder, left shoulder, and then have the discrepancies on the right hand of the jewelry. Implements on the engraving settlements, and the engraving and processing and the services they provide in a single, so that's where marriage certificates. They're going to have these testings, ups, downs, the services, if you're in a bed or out bed or in post in the mansion area or in the vehicle or one vehicle or other vehicle. If you're posting date or immediate information on internet or equipment and Canon, and also the jet or jet ink, and also the powder, which is called South Dakota powder. These Springfield, these are Springfield. Springfield was generated in Civil War, World War I, World War II, and post-war astronomy. And these services they have on these Omni and purposes services for the black powder, South Dakota powder. These full metal jacket services they have penetrating any barbaric and services they call it, barbaric services. These services are salvage, and they call it the savage, and then escalated to Berettas, and that's Smith & Wesson, AR-15, AK-47s, Heckles, AR-15s, AR-14s, A-10s now. These are military issues. Now, John Deere Evergreen implements have these jet propulsion, jet fuel guidance systems and the services and propellants, and also they launch man to the moon. This is an index, bill of notes. These are very, very serious questions. Just questions. These are collection limited periods, permanency notices, installments and debts continued, acceleration maturity continued, and how made. What is made? What is made? Made. Like the Unabomber is a very good example. Mr. Unabomber, he got his imitation of limitation foreclosure deeds on the fact. These notices of potential accelerants in general. His enactment endorsements of his blanks affected. These endorsement party and title enforces. Holder of a note, and in general, page 708. These are proficiency classes and are tested 7 days a week. Pretty much behind the wheel, in the wheel, in class, out of class, and around class. These services, you can see, Mr. State Patrolman got served in the 990. He got served. I ran what? That was like 3.5, almost 4 miles in 7 minutes. To a fence line into a mansion area on my land, on the other side of the mansion. So I don't have to tell you. You don't have to tell nobody about anything about any services, how much land, what land you have. It's right here. Comes you live from Andy Miller's office, 712 North Canard Place. Andy Miller, that's who it was. They'll send that FedEx, UPS, and also in your face. All that process and image and service and signatures and fingerprints and swipes. We're going to go to 19. There's number 57, the Watch State Pill number 1990, and also the Watch State Pill number, it's book number 56 and book number 57, and also the Washington Field Service here. We mentioned all the prices and increments and these services, all that footage, all those cameras and footage, and also the witnesses they have, and also the services they got for the boat races and the ramps and crane operator. I love having sex with Bertie. Yeah, you know, he's nothing but an alcoholic crackhead, makes methamphetamine. Mrs. Boeing, they put a blue shirt on, Chip, of course. You know, his services, I mean, his debut for the cannons on my chest. And the cannons don't even belong to the Hells Angels or the Gypsy Corps, Mongol services. Because they go into the casinos making scenes, saying they own land, discharging weapons, black powders, and have them pulling the bodies in the body cab and put them in, zip them in the body bag and servicing them. Put these patches on there, nobody. So you see these services implements on these services, all downloaded. See, recovering any information is never erased. It is downloaded to the T. So you can pose with your patches, put your markings, your emblems, your whatever bicycle or whatever Harley Davidson bicycle you'd be purchasing at a duration time. You can see there's an emblem service right here. Download it. It's not going nowhere. Never will be. You never will be. So you can swing anytime you want. Do your innovation you want because they fear no man. As you can see, look at it, spreading, serving this guy in your face. Look, served October 2019. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Let's your face into your windshield into orifices of your body. Look, this is September 18, 2019. Never will be Felix Barela. Look, why don't we take it outside, just like you said, remarks out of your mouth in front of everybody. Why don't you take it outside? Oh no, inside, or inside, outside, all the way into whatever you want to do it.
The Benton County Prosecutor's Office. Please stay on the line and an operator will answer your call shortly.
afternoon, prosecutor's office.
Yeah, I just downloaded a brand new series live on there, and I'm gonna submit some information. Is it clear to send through? Because I just turned it on and it's flashing. So is it clear to send an email at this time so I don't have to deal with all this information that's on my computer that's slowing it up?
Sure, yeah, go ahead.
All right.
No, that's a new form. Over here on the table or the envelope.
Aye.